What's up, you guys? Cameron Cornish here, your #1 real estate agent in St. George. In today's video, we're going to be answering a pretty tough question. Is the cost of living too high here in St. George? And really, how much do you need to make to have a comfortable lifestyle here in this great city? We're going to be tackling a lot of that stuff in today's video. So make sure you stay tuned because I'm not going to shy away from any of those tough questions. Let's get after it today, you guys. This is Living in STG. Let's do it. All right, you guys, I'm going to try to make today's video the most interesting as I possibly can because I know we're talking about finances and money and all of this kind of stuff, which usually doesn't give me the most views on YouTube, but that's okay. I know these are questions that everyone is wondering, and especially if you're considering a move here to St. George, it's something on the top of your mind. I know it definitely was for us when we were thinking about moving here from Las Vegas about 5 years ago. We wanted to see what was the difference, and during that time, to be honest with you, there really wasn't that much of a difference because this was before COVID, but something crazy happened during COVID, and you guys are all familiar with it. Yes, we got a change of leadership in the country. No, I'm just kidding. COVID happened, and I'm sure the change of leadership had a lot to do with it as well. A lot of things went up. The cost of living went up, inflation went up. That's definitely caused some concern. So today's video is going to be a little bit different because depending on where you are in the country, it's going to look different for everybody else, right? What I say is a healthy amount of income to make a year to live a comfortable lifestyle. Maybe you're not even close to that, or maybe you have far surpassed that. Everyone's going to be different. So today I'm going to just kind of give you guys a general explanation of what it looks like here in St. George when we're talking about utilities and gas prices and how much you should budget out for groceries. Those are all things that people think about when they are relocating to a brand new city. So let's tackle them in today's video. All right, well, because we are a real estate channel, let's definitely talk about real estate first. And here's something to keep in mind. If you're looking to purchase a home here in St. George, well, the median home price is about $624,000, which might sound really, really high because it kind of is. I'll be honest with you guys, St. George is 25% higher than the national average when it comes to housing. Even rent itself is about $1,900 a month on average. Now, there's definitely be some factors into that if I'm being honest with you, right? One thing I think about is that here in St. George, there's definitely a culture, and that culture is LDS. And one thing about LDS culture, if you know anything about it, is they like to have kids. Yes, there's a lot of families here. So you're going to naturally need a home with 4, 5, 6, maybe even 7 bedrooms. And being in real estate myself, I know that when I think about homes that size that are 2,800 square feet bigger with that kind of bedroom count, yeah, they're around that $600,000 or $700,000 price range. So just naturally, that's going to push up the median house pricing here in St. George. So if that's not you and you need something lower, there's definitely other options out there for you to go and find. But just keep that in mind, right? I mean, St. George is definitely not the cheapest place to live by any means, but that doesn't mean that it's not affordable in general because everybody is going to be different. All right, now let's talk a little bit more about cost of living, and we're gonna get more into how much money you should be making a year to live a comfortable or somewhat comfortable lifestyle here. But a couple things that come to my mind that, are kind of cool, right? I think about utilities out here in St. George compared to where we lived previously, and especially on the power side of things, right? The average power bill here in St. George is about $208 a month, but it gets even better because if you live south of the Virgin River, you're gonna be on something that we call Dixie Power. And Dixie Power is really one of the cheapest in the nation. I think about my situation and, I got a family of 6. They leave the lights on all the time, but our average power bill is like $100 a month, which is pretty close to the average for Dixie Power, which is about $108 a month. So I think about stuff like that. I think about when I got my car registered, whereas in Nevada, it would have cost me $400 to get my vehicle registered. It only costs about $150 out here. So there's definitely some things like that that come into play where you're like, dang, that's pretty cheap and that's pretty sweet. But let's not talk about groceries, right? I think everyone's feeling this right now in our country as far as cost of living and inflation going up, and it's just creating astronomical grocery bills. Gas prices around here upper $2 to $3 a gallon right now is where we're at. Again, you might be in California and it might be $6 a gallon. You might be in somewhere in Podunk, Ohio, and you're looking at $1.80 a gallon. I don't know. I'm just throwing numbers out there right now. So again, every situation is going to be different. Depending on where you're moving from, that might cause some alarm or that might cause you to be super cool about it. I don't know, but let's talk more about how much you should be making. Let's get into that. All right, back in the podcast room we go. Let's talk about income, everyone's favorite subject, right? Let's talk about income and talk about really how much you should be making. And I'm going to really give out 3 different scenarios right now because like I said before, and I'm going to say it multiple times throughout this video, everyone's situation's different. So you might be single, maybe you're married with no children, or maybe you're married and you got 2, 3, or 4 children. Again, let's try to cover as many as I possibly can. But here's my suggestion. If we're talking about a single person and we want to factor in all of those things such as transportation, and we're talking about groceries, utilities, healthcare, and even some miscellaneous spending like eating out or going to the movie theaters, not essential things like that. I would probably suggest that you should be making about $50,000 to $60,000 a year as a single person to be able to live a comfortable or somewhat comfortable lifestyle here in St. George. So now let's talk about if you have a family, right? Maybe you are married and you have no kids. Well, everything included under that whole cost of living, if you think about utilities, healthcare, insurance, gas, all of that kind of stuff, right? And you just kind of put all of that in there. I would say to live a comfortable lifestyle, as a married couple with no kids, you should be making about $80,000 to $100,000 a year. Now, if you want to add some kids in the mix there, maybe you're a family of 4, I would suggest you're making about $100,000 to $130,000 a year. When I think of comfortable lifestyle, I think all your bills are paid. You're not stressed out. Maybe you have a decent car, you have a decent home, you're able to take a vacation or 2, maybe a year, and maybe even go out to eat a couple times a month and take your family to the movie theater, right? Just a comfortable lifestyle. Now, if you live a pretty extravagant lifestyle and, you're going to have to make more. Maybe you already do, which is awesome. If you make more money than that now, you're making $250,000 a year. You're going to live a pretty good life here in St. George, just like you would just about anywhere else, except for maybe New York or Park City up north, right? If you're making $250,000 a year in those places, you're like almost poor, right? Which is crazy to think about. It's definitely not that bad here in St. George right now. But maybe you need to make more money, and that's something that's on the top of your mind. Well, there's a lot of employment options out here, which is definitely one of the questions I get the most as a realtor. People say, Cam, cost of living is 9% higher than the national average in St. George. So what are people doing for work? Well, that's a very interesting topic. So let's definitely get into that as well. Hey, I just stumbled into my wife's office, who their office is right next door to ours, which is kind of cool. And for those of you guys who don't know, my wife is actually a lender. Quick little plug for her. If you're looking for a good lender out here that can help you to get approved for a home loan, definitely reach out to her, and I will leave her number on the bottom of the screen right here. But she's with Guild Mortgage, which is a fantastic company, and I've actually used them for quite a few years. Before she was even working with Guild, and before she was a lender, I was using them, and I definitely trust what they do. However, let's definitely talk about employment options in St. George. Now, I would definitely say there's a big entrepreneurial spirit out here. There's a lot of business owners, a lot of people that, are 1099 and working for themselves and creating a lifestyle for themselves as well. They're their own boss, so to speak. And there's a lot of different kind of stuff. There's a lot of multi-level marketing in Utah in general, but there's also real estate agents, and there's lawyers and dentists and doctors and a lot of people like that, but if you are, W-2 employee and you need a job, well, I think about, as far as healthcare goes, you got Intermountain Healthcare, which is a big medical facility out here that definitely employs a lot of people. But believe it or not, there's definitely a lot of tech people out here as well, especially with Tech Ridge that's expanding here in St. George up on the bluff. They're just building so much stuff out there right now. That's a part of the college. And so there's definitely a lot of tech careers here in St. George as well. But one thing that I run into the most, and I definitely see them, cater to people like this in the real estate world, and the builders are catering to people like this. There's a lot of work from home people here in St. George, which is actually how we got our butts here to St. George. At the time, I was running a financial service company. COVID struck, and we were working from home. So it was an easy transition for us to come out here and be able to work from home. A lot of my clients and a lot of people that I help find homes for also also work from home. And I think that's a pretty dang popular thing out here as well. But there's definitely some new things happening out here in St. George, which is exciting. You know, I mentioned Costco earlier. They have a new Costco going in over in the Desert Color area. There's a Sprouts grocery store coming in as well, and a lot of other retail kind of businesses, a lot of new restaurants that are always being built as well. So maybe that's what you're already used to. Well, there's definitely options. Now, if you work in construction, I think that's a pretty popular thing going on right now out here as well, especially when you think about home construction. You drive just about anywhere in the city, you're going to see homes going up. And so when it comes to construction, maybe they're not building casinos and big buildings like that, like they are in Vegas, but granted, there's still a lot of construction going on out here in general. So that's another thing to kind of keep in mind. I believe that if you want to find work out here in St. George, you're really not going to have that hard of a time doing it. You know, look, maybe you say, Cam, I can find work. I just got to be able to find work that pays me enough money to live out here. Well, I know there's definitely a lot of people out here that are two-income households, and that's becoming more and more popular, not just in St. George, but in America in general, just because cost of living is going up so dang much right now. So that's another option for you guys as well. But a lot of my clients that are coming from other states that move out here, a lot of them are in the industries that I just mentioned, right? But also a lot of retired people that come out here, you know, so just some things to think about, you guys, as far as employment options go here in St. George. So there you have it. So this video right here might scare you. It might make you excited. Again, everyone's going to be different. I don't want to be the kind of realtor that just tells you what you want to hear. I want to be the kind of realtor that tells you the truth, and those are the truth. Utah, St. George, I should say, is 25% higher than the national average as far as housing goes, and it's 9% higher than the national average as far as cost of living goes. But it doesn't mean it's not livable. Obviously, there's so many people that are moving here to St. George right now, and everybody that I talk to absolutely loves it, including ourselves. We moved here 5 years ago from Las Vegas, Nevada, and I can truly say it was one of the best decisions that we have ever made. We absolutely love this city, and that's one of the reasons I love being a realtor, because it really is something that I get passionate about, and I can share that passion with other people because I know what that move did for me and my family, and I hope it does the same for yours as well. With that being said, you guys, make sure you reach out to me for any kind of future real estate needs, and let me know what your game plan is. I would love to help game plan with you and help you make that transition out here in the near future. Or maybe you need to list a home out here as well. Reach out to me. Get you on ABC4 on Real Estate Essentials, the TV show that premieres every Sunday at 4:30 p.m. We'll help you get your house sold with a ton of exposure on it as well. Anyways, you guys, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. God bless.